Accessing library computer data.
Out there are no saints. Just people.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're continuing our run through of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Right now we're up to the 20th episode of the 4th season. It's called Shattered Mirror. We're returning to the Mirror Universe. It first aired on the 22nd of April, 1996, written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, directed by James L. Conway. In this episode, Professor Jennifer Sisko uses Jake to lure Sisko to the Mirror Universe to help the rebels build another starship, Defiant. We're joined by Clay. Clay, how are you? Welcome back to the Mirror Universe.
Good. Is it possible at this point in the show for us to go back in time and take Mirror Dax and replace her with, I should say, take regular Dax and replace her with Mirror Dax? Because she doesn't have really anything to do, and she's so much more interesting in this.
Yeah, well, we also got confirmation that Sisko did fuck her in the previous episode.
That's true.
We were unsure. We didn't think that it was saucy enough in that previous episode to really imply what had happened. But yeah, she comes out and says that they had sex in the last one. So Sisko is taking full advantage of the Mirror Universe perks while he's going there. But go ahead.
You know, I'll save it. I'll save it for the conversation. But I feel like that kind of plays into my thoughts about Sisko and the Mirror Universe.
All right, let's take a break. I'm going to play an audio clip. Me and Clay are going to come back and we're going to break down Shattered Mirror.
Are you sure this is what Smiley used to transport you to the alternate universe?
Looks like it.
And you're convinced Jake's gone over there?
He's not on the station, and neither is Jennifer.
Maybe he convinced her to take him over there for a visit.
Without asking me?
Could be she left that behind as an invitation to join them.
And I accept. But only to get Jake back.
Want some company? I can think of safer places to visit.
Major, you and the chief come with me. Commander, you have ops.
Okay, Clay. So it's our annual Mirror Universe episode. There are 7 of these. They did one every single. Are there 7? Maybe they did the first one in the second season. Maybe there's only 6. But anyway, they do one every season. They're like Ferengi episodes. They just do them to get out of the way. They're also like Bajoran religious episodes at this point. There's one of those every season.
At what point do you think it became like something they had to do? Like on The Simpsons, I know they talk about after they did like 3 Halloween episodes, it was like, shit, we have to do this every year now.
Yeah. Well, I think here's the thing about these Mirror Universe episodes. I definitely agree with the fan consensus that they just get worse as the time goes on. Mm-hmm. But I sort of see them as, I find them frustrating because at this point in the series, the show does better episodes than this. So it feels like it's a real step back to have to do a Mirror Universe episode every season.
Right.
And the thing about it is, I guess it's kind of the price you pay. The only way I can really get through them and enjoy them is I say, this is the price you have to pay when you have 26 episodes in a season and you need one episode just to totally kill time and blow off steam for both the actors and the producers.
Yeah.
And because everything about these episodes is kind of silly, really hacky, and you just can't take it seriously. But what did you think about this? So that's my opinion about the Mirror Universe episode. This isn't a terrible episode. It's just, it feels like a waste of time when these come along at this point in the series.
Yeah. Well, to draw another comparison to the Simpsons Halloween specials, one of the things that I know that the creators say about them is that they are the hardest episodes to do because they are mostly made up of stuff that they don't usually do on the show. They have to be kind of like witty and, you know, some sort of parody, and they're all new designs and stuff, and they're always a pain in the ass to do. And I feel like that's probably how these episodes are, even though they seem like they're just blowing off steam. I think the reason they get worse and worse is because they are actually really difficult to do, because as this one showed, and you know, as another show that comes a couple decades after this show, the longer time you spend in the Mirror Universe, the more of it you have to explain, and it loses the. I mean, I'm sure we've said this a million times, but it loses the metaphorical nature that they are built on.
Yeah.
And so then, like, you have to figure out what the hell you're going to do with these other than just have it be an excuse for people to play, you know, contrary to the way they usually play, which is fine. I mean, you know, I'm sure that all the actors have a ton of fun doing this, but the story is not really. I mean, it's just kind of like a waste of time. And I don't say that having disliked the episode. I actually liked it. I think it was kind of a waste of time. But I did enjoy it. I think it was fun. It was nice to see Worf in the mirror universe. I thought the Worf and Garrick stuff was really great. But it's just, I think the more you keep going back to that well, the harder it is to figure out what you're going to pull out.
The other sort of major problem I have with this, only doing this once a year where you go back, is I don't really remember the plot of the mirror universe. You know, like I remember broad strokes of like, oh, right, the rebels are in charge now. But it and I think the show recognizes that too, so they don't get really in depth with it. They give you a very broad episode idea about what's going on. I think you could quibble about like how easy it is that people now go back and forth between the mirror universe. Like,
I was thinking that too. I didn't realize you could just show up like it was no sweat.
Right. And the mirror universe doesn't care about the prime universe really, except for the people who want to go and get Sisko. So that's, I don't know how much sense that makes. We no longer see them return from the mirror universe at the end of any of the episodes. It's just assumed that they get back and they're fine.
Right. This one, and I'm going to talk about this later, kind of in relation to what I said at the beginning. This one, Sisko stays on purpose.
Yeah. For no good reason.
He does what he's supposed to do. And then they're like, all right, you can go. And he's like, fuck it. I think I'm going to fight with you guys. There's no reason for him to stay.
No.
There's no, I mean, other than the fact, like, okay, so I may as well just say what I was going to say. I think that the weird thing about this is that Sisko seems to use the mirror universe like someone would use a holodeck. Like, he doesn't take it very seriously. Yeah. He's banging Dax. Yeah. He's, staying around to fight the Cardassians and fly the Defiant and blow shit up. It doesn't really feel like Sisko believes there are any stakes to anything he's doing. And he's not treating the people or the situations as though they are real people or situations. Yep. He's like, fuck it. I'm never coming back here. I may as well do whatever I want. And I'm not saying that's unrealistic. I'm just saying it's very surprising.
Yeah. It's, maybe just like I was saying, how it's the producers and the actors' ability to let off a little steam. Sisko views it that way too. You know, he's got a lot of turmoil going on in the real universe. He's got a lot of things that he's got a lot of plates he's got to keep up in the air, or balls he's got to keep up in the air. And the mirror universe is his out. And the result of that is, I was sort of shocked in this episode how much space combat there was. Which is,
it's a lot.
My understanding of that is that that's a very expensive, time-intensive thing for the show to do. And I'm surprised that they did it in a mirror universe episode. Like, there's a lot of space combat in this. Maybe, I would guess that the amount of scenes we've seen in this episode would come close to maybe the total that we've ever seen. Like, there's a lot of extended, the ship is flying around the station, the Defiant is sort of weaving in and out of the pylons and stuff. There's a lot of it. It's weird.
Yeah, and it all looks pretty good too, so they definitely spent time on it. Although there are some instances where you can tell that they didn't exactly have all the time to make like the banking of the ship feel right. So there's a couple turns that like the Defiant makes where it's like, well, that's a fairly, like, it doesn't feel like a real bank of a ship would. Yeah. It feels like a computer. Although I mean it's in space, so who cares?
Shooting the shit out.
But yeah. There's a lot of ships. There's a bunch of Klingon ships. There's a bunch of Cardassian ships.
It fights them all off.
There's the Defiant.
Does a pretty good job.
I feel like they may have. They're getting pretty close to overpowering the Defiant here. I think. I mean, in giving it too much power. Because why is that standard that the Defiant could like single-handedly take out a shitload of warbirds and take down an entire Cardassian, giant penis ship, whatever those things are?
Well, it is designed to take down, it is designed to create some flaccid ships that are left hanging around. But I think it is, I mean, I guess it's supposed to. I don't know if like the power creep against the Dominion is supposed to balance that out, but maybe it's just supposed to tear ass against all the other ships. It does seem a little bit sort of odd, but they include, I guess there's enough of a justification. They remind you in the episode that the thing is so powerful, it basically tears itself apart whenever it tries to do something. Right. It is.
That's, that's how I think about myself. And that's why I try not to do much during the day.
Right. You don't want to push yourself too hard.
Exactly.
So to get back to the main sort of meatiness of the episode is that it's Sisko is a terrible parent for not warning his son that his dead mother is going to appear when he walks through the door. That's pretty bad parenting, in my opinion. They do it as a dramatic break over the opening cold open into the credits, and I thought that, I don't know. I feel that this episode does a better job of maybe exploring what it means to look at a mirror version of yourself, or to see a mirror version of someone that you knew, like your mother in Jake's case here. But it doesn't really feel like the point of it.
Right.
I feel it never really lands all that well. It's always tethered to the other actors are doing varying degrees of campiness to it. Like Bashir is completely unhinged in his appearances in the mirror universe. Like he's just completely over the top space pirate mode. And
which I don't find particularly believable.
In what way do you mean?
Like I don't think the actor is very good at playing that. I think it doesn't feel authentic to me. It feels very hammy.
Yeah. Well, And I agree, and I think that we mentioned before that the mirror universe here is just kind of camp. It's a very, like, the Garrick and Worf stuff is borderline joke. It has actually a pretty good joke where he stabs Garrick and the guy's like, "Oh, never mind. Here's the key."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, but that stuff I find believable. Like I think I love that stuff. I thought it was great. I thought Worf was great as the villainous Klingon. I thought Garrick was great, basically playing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought Dax was good. I thought Kira was good. Bashir doesn't feel. Bashir feels the most like he's playing a character.
Yes. Yeah. He's playing a space pirate. I'd agree with that.
Right.
I feel Worf is kind of that way. Worf is doing a very mustache twirling villain role here. Like it's a lot of that kind of stuff as he's talking to Garrick, which is all fine. I think it all just comes back to, if you're not going to focus on the Jake stuff and you want to do that campiness aspect, that makes it feel like more of a waste of time than doing a little bit more of a focus on what it would mean for Jake to meet his mother in the universe. And I think they do a pretty good job. Like Sisko getting frustrated when Jake is clearly in the early part of the episode being more enamored and almost wanting to stay in the mirror universe. I think that's pretty good. It ends up not being super satisfying, mostly because they kind of go back and forth about whether or not this is Jennifer or it's not Jennifer, and whether or not Sisko's in love with her, and whether or not Jake sees her as his mother. And then they just kind of say, yeah, she sees herself as his mother. I don't know. It doesn't, for as dark and weird and twisted of a concept as it is, the campiness of the rest of the episode kind of scuttles any kind of thing that you'd want to do with the Jake storyline.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Well, I don't know if I was surprised, but the Jake in the mirror universe seems to be the more interesting story to tell. And I mean, I guess it's no different than anybody else in the mirror universe, but there is some pretty heavy aspects to it about, his mother being alive and Nog being there and being, awful.
Yeah. Nog's there, but he's not friendly to him, which is upsetting to him.
Right. So I think that could have been interesting to get into a bit more. But unfortunately, they've set up this constant war setting in the mirror universe where it's very difficult to have a quiet mirror episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Because everything is just like, Doc Brown showing up at the end of the Back to the Future and being like, "You have to come back to me. We have to save the," it's like that kind of pace to it when at the beginning of all these episodes now.
It's always a big event, and this one the Rebels have, what's the event here? The Rebels have taken DS9. I think that's the thing, and they have they've built a Defiant to fight off the invading fleet of what's coming in towards them.
Yeah, and so it would have been nice to. It would have been nice to have Jake in the mirror universe by himself, honestly.
Yep. Well, do you think that, I think one of the patron comments that I'm going to sort of steal the idea is that, does the episode cut the legs out from underneath Jake by having Sisko be so prominent in it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think, I think what might have been a little bit more of a engaging way to handle it would have been I mean, I don't know why fucking Jennifer comes to the regular world, but basically to have like an Alice in Wonderland type situation where she comes and she's hanging out and she meets him and then she leaves and then he follows her.
Yeah, right.
Unbeknownst to her and unbeknownst to Sisko. So he ends up in the mirror universe completely unprepared for it. But I mean, I guess that's just every mirror universe episode, so I don't know how much mileage you're going to get out of that. But again, it's more of a personal thing there, so maybe it would be worth doing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would clash with the tone of the mirror universe that they have. But my ideal thing would be your setup there where Jake goes back, and it's about dealing with loss, and maybe there's some sort of like hidden grief within Jake about the fact that he never really got to say goodbye to his mother, like she was just taken from him. And it doesn't really happen here, and I don't know how much of that is the tone. And I also think that Sirach Lofton, the actor who plays Jake, kind of plays it a little bit too flirty with his mother here.
I was thinking that, like, there's a certain point where I was looking at him going like, is he doing the calculations right now about whether or not it's okay to bang this woman? Because it's his mom, but it's not his mom. So play ball?
There was a dinner scene where he made dinner for her where it felt very flirty, datey to me. And
and when they were touching hands and stuff, I know that was supposed to be like,
it's good to see you again. Yeah, like we're making contact.
It's supposed to be nostalgic and stuff like that, but like, I don't know, he didn't play it that way. It felt a little bit too arousing for him.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think that's I
never thought I'd hold these hands again. Do you want to have dinner?
I think I'll say Mom? That. I'll say that to my mother when she comes over for Thanksgiving and see how the rest of the family reacts to it. Although the Siskos have a very bizarre sexual tension between all of them anyway. So I think that's a Sirach Lofton performance issue, but I don't know. I really like the idea of Jake going into the mirror universe and being, what they always do with Star Trek. There is a draw to the mirror universe. Like Discovery tries to do this. Like there's a reason that you could want to go there, even though it's horrible and everyone is terrible and the situation is all fucked up. But the chance to go see people again is too overwhelming. I think that the series constantly reminds you that they're not the same people either, except for Discovery, which seemed a little bit confused about it. But like they are very aware that this is not the same person. So I think that the storyline you want to tell is just a reminder that you have feelings for these people who look like these people, and this is a chance to say goodbye. It's a chance to realize that things can never go back the way they were, and they never really do it. Instead, we have the ending 20 minutes, which is Sisko's like, hey, I'm going to see you guys later. And Miles O'Brien is like, oh, gee, like, I wish I had more time to learn how to fly the ship. And then Sisko's like, all right. And he hops into the chair and shoots the shit out of the Klingons.
Right. Yeah, it would have been nice. You know, what else would have been kind of cool is if maybe they had played it up like Jake has an idealized version of the mirror universe based on what he's heard about it. Mm-hmm. Like, because I'm sure the stories he's heard about it are, air towards like the swashbuckling aspect. And it's like, yeah,
right, he's a writer.
I was a pirate over there, Jake, and your mom's alive. And like all of these things
Dax.
were in his head. Yeah, I totally fucked Dax. But and Kira is just a whore. No, but like to have him have this like idealized conception of the mirror universe, and then have him go over there and it end up being like the alternate Biff future from Back to the Future 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I think would be fun, because no one ever taught. The thing about the mirror universe is like every time they come back from there, there's like this gentleman's agreement that no one will ever talk about it.
Right.
When clearly that's not the case. Clearly everybody's talking about it. Jake fucking knows about it. So it's a thing. They're crossing back and forth like they're just, crossing state lines at this point. Why don't it would be fun to play with the expectations of someone who's never been there, and go that direction, and then you can kind of jump off of there into the I guess all that depressing shit you were talking about.
Right, and it kind of reminds me that I don't think Quark has gone over yet. We've seen Mirror Quark, who died, But Quark seems like the character who would go over to try to exploit the mirror universe, right? Like he's the
Yes, yeah, that would be a good one.
yeah, and I don't know why they haven't done that. Seems like that should be a Ferengi episode actually. Just combine the two so we don't have to have a Ferengi episode and a mirror universe episode. We just have one. But I don't know. I don't know if there's really much else to say about the episode outside of that. I think that they have fun playing with the roles. The intendant Kira is there doing her thing. People get to run around. The Garrick and the caller with Worf is really great. It leads to a lot of interplay between those two actors. It's Dorn's first chance to play Mirror Universe Worf. And
I liked when they were going around Deep Space Nine in the Mirror Universe, and they did the thing where Nog was like, I don't trust tall men, I trust tall women. Here, have this one. And then his mom is like, isn't she a little old for you? Yeah. I was kind of hoping Jake would be like, well, Mom, I have this other television show I've been developing that on this universe you haven't heard of, and it's called Jake Sisko. And I'm very, very familiar with dating girls who are older than me for some reason.
Those are some scantily clad Dabo girls too. It's standard definition, so you can't really see much. But it looked like they were
like. That's how I would ease him into the mirrored universe. Yeah. So like he gets in, and then the first thing is like Nog runs the bar, and he's kind of a dick, but he's got all these hot chicks, and then Jake is like, this place is amazing, and then he gets thrown into a slave camp for 40 years.
Are STDs good for you in the mirror universe? Do they amplify your ability? Yeah, and it now that you've sort of sparked it, they don't even really. The Nog thing isn't really even. I guess the point of the Nog thing in this is that Nog not being friendly to him is the reason that Jake wants to go back at a certain point. It seems like that's the thing that is it kicks him out of the mindset of oh, the mirror universe is a good thing to be, because he has a argument with Nog on the promenade. But yeah, they don't really. Nog's the only remaining Ferengi. I guess that's the reason that they had to include him, because everyone else is dead. But Nog is also he doesn't fit the previous episode established that the Ferengi are kind of the moral ones in this universe, and Nog doesn't fit into that, which is, I guess that's a mirror of Nog, though. So I guess that works, because Nog in our universe is the most non-Ferengi that they have. Right, yeah. Yeah, no, I like the stuff with it. Well, I liked it until they killed him. Not that he needs to hang around, but that was the most, as soon as he walked away, I was like, Kira, you should probably kill him. Yep. And then she stopped, and she turned around and killed him, so clearly she listened to him. All the Ferengi are dead at this point. There's no more. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else you really want to say about this one? I don't find, I didn't find it offensive. I don't find it particularly, it really changed. My opinion really totally changed when I was like, I just can't be super critical about these episodes. I just kind of have to watch it and get through it. And I don't really care about what the stakes are. The show doesn't care about the stakes, because Sisko is just going to pretend to throw his life away by fighting for this cause that he could have escaped. I don't know. Is there anything else that you think? How do you approach these episodes at this point? Knowing that there's one every year. I think they're fun. Yeah, I think they're fun. I still enjoy seeing the different take on characters and stuff. Especially when you get to add a couple more in, like Garrick. We haven't seen Mirror Garrick before, right? We have, yeah. He was he was Kira's right-hand man in the previous episodes, yeah. Oh, well, anyway, he's fun. I haven't seen him in a while, so he was fun. We haven't seen this Bashir with this haircut, I think, is the change. Him and Worf are the two changes. Yeah, and Worf was great. I think Worf is a more interesting mirror villain than Kira is. Yeah. Because Kira was just sort of like a dominatrix who didn't really have any, she was a lot more vague in who she was working for. I'm sure it was not vague, but it was just one of those things where it's I need to do this because the intergalactic board of directors that I work for needs to answer to the higher power, and it's all right, whatever. They just want you to, look sexy so they can pan a camera up your butt for some reason. Lord help me. Yeah, but she's fun doing that stuff, even though she's dressed like Tila from the Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe movie.
But I think Worf is a lot more fun as a villain. I think you could have fun going forward with this if you've got Worf as your main mirror villain and then Kira as sort of your
wild card,
for lack of a better term, like Gul Dukat type character.
Yep.
Who's a bad guy but is kind of bouncing between factions, just looking out for herself, kind of thing. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But again, what I did kind of like, though, is I did like that even the Mirror Universe episodes are now serialized.
Yes.
So the stuff that happened in this one is a direct result of stuff that happened in the last one, and they are clearly setting up things to happen in the next one.
Yeah. No, they are. And they're, whether or not that's a good or bad thing, I guess it depends on how they handle it, just because it comes so infrequently that, as I was saying earlier, you kind of forget what you're talking about when you go back to the Mirror Universe, and you need a little bit of a refresher every once in a while. But I think on a my last sort of point would just be on a scripting level, I find them not particularly enjoyable because I feel that these scripts, especially in such a strong season as we've been seeing so far, where the writing has really seemed to kick it up a notch, the stuff that happens in the Mirror Universe really feels like it's a very throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Like the logic of what drives people to go there and do things is very flimsy. It's just really like, we need this to happen for Sisko to go here, and then Sisko has to go there, then Sisko needs to fight, and then we have to do this. And while I guess that's where the fun of it doesn't really stick around for me, because I don't find them that fun, because I feel like they are so detached from really trying to do anything, that even when I enjoy the performances or sort of the scenes or the vignettes that they do, the overall, I just feel like my feet aren't settled in the Mirror Universe. I never feel like I'm comfortably watching it and being like, oh, I know everything that's sort of going on, and I feel that this is all well earned. It feels a little bit, it just feels lackluster. It feels like a real placeholder of an episode and an idea. Yeah,
no, that's fair. I mean, again, they're working inside a world that they haven't really fully defined, and it kind of changes every time they do it. So that makes sense that it would be sort of the connection there. I think that's the thing, though, with these episodes is they are tougher to connect to storyline-wise, and they really put the weight on the shoulders of fun characterizations.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know, I mean, I think there's two ways to look at them, because you can look at them that way and be like, oh, you know, it's really fun to see the different costumes and the different characters in there. You know, it's a campier episode. Clearly, the people making it are having fun, so they are meant to be more fun having like episodes. But then you could look at it the other way, which is, well, why don't they take the concept of the Mirror Universe seriously and actually exploit its full science fiction storytelling potential? And I think you only get one of those, unfortunately, with the way that they handle these. And they seem to be going more these are the lighter, fun Mirror Universe than the metaphorical we're trying to make a point Mirror Universe.
Do you think you could flip-flop them, and would they feel consistent? So like every other season you did one way or the other, or would you find that bizarre and inconsistent in the writing?
I think you could do them at the same time, frankly. I'm not saying you are only allowed to get one. I think they are choosing to only do one. And I think you can, in viewing these ones, you kind of end up falling on either side of that argument, which is like, well, I appreciate them because they are kind of fun, or I don't like them because they are not as good as they could be, or they are not exploiting the concept. I think you can do both. I think you can use these characters who are a little over the top and do stuff that's more interesting and tell more interesting stories with it. I don't think you have to sacrifice story just because, you know, Kira wants to, you know, bat her eyes and shake her butt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, for this one, as you were saying, then you could just have Jake's story be the actual insightful storyline, and then have the Worf and Garrick scenes pasted on top of it to sort of balance everything out. Yeah. That's the harder.
I was just gonna say, I did really like the stuff with Worf and Garrick, especially when that other guy was like, "I'm sorry, the key fell into my boot. I'm sorry."
As he stabbed him. I also like there's a line where Garrick says something, and Worf says, "You're starting to sound like a Klingon," and Garrick, Andrew Robinson has a great line delivery of like, "I'm trying."
Yes. I'm trying very hard. And also Worf got to say "make it so," which I thought was pretty fun.
Yep. Yeah, they those two are very, very good there. And it's a chance for them to spread their wings a little bit. Andrew Robinson is excellent. And Michael Dorn, as we said before, is sort of turning a page as an actor. Or at least he's learning how to work with Worf a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you actually get stuff to do.
Yeah, that's true. And you've been playing the same character for 700 episodes or whatever it is at that point. That's it. So we're done with Mirror Universe Jennifer. We barely knew her, and now she's gone. And that's it for this Mirror Universe sojourn this season. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to play an audio clip. Me and Clay are going to come back, and we're going to not break down. We're going to wrap up Shattered Mirror. We're going to read some patron thoughts, and then we're going to give our final thoughts.
You look like you can use another pair of hands.
Smaller ones might help.
Here. Let me.
I'm trying to recalibrate the torque sensors.
Yes, I know, to control the inertial dampers. It's Professor Sisko, remember?
Sorry.
For what it's worth, you should know that I've told Jake the truth about my visit to you, why I brought him here, everything.
And he said that it doesn't matter, that he's still glad to have met me. Funny thing is, I know he means it.
He has a forgiving nature.
It's more than that. I don't think he could be angry with me, even if he wanted to. I remind him too much of his mother.
He loved her very much.
No one has ever cared about me like that before. So, if it's all right with you, I will see to it that he is sent back to Deep Space Nine.
When?
Right away.
What's Smiley going to say about that?
He trusts you to finish your job. And so do I.
Okay, so if you support the show on patreon.com/the Pensky File, you guys leave your thoughts about upcoming episodes. We'll read them and react to them on the podcast. Stephen Cobb says, Shattered Mirror, bag on the Mirror Universe as much as you want. They're still fun episodes to watch. Mirror Nog was awesome. I was sorry to see him get killed. Jake and Jennifer scenes are a bit rough. The my mother's hands part was pretty good, but the rest of their interaction felt pretty stilted to me. Next up, there's only a couple of these. Where's the next one? Here it is. Neil Brennan says, Shattered Mirror. I've never got the impression you two are the biggest fans of Jake. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I find Lofton's performance really charming. He's not the world's greatest, but he brings an exuberance to the show that I love. Good example is the scene in Nog's bar in this episode, which was otherwise good but not great. Surely the emotional impact of meeting his mother, should be a hammer blow and not a romp. So what do you think? Are you a fan of Jake, Clay, or do you want to set the record straight here?
I think my problem with Jake is that for some reason, I don't think necessarily the writing is this way. I just feel like he's playing him. It seems like he's playing him younger than he is. I don't know exactly how old the actor is here, but for some reason he's choosing to play him with this like wide-eyed innocence that feels really young. It feels like an older person playing a younger person.
Yep.
And that feels really kind of there's a big disconnect for me. I don't know if that's what he was trying to do or if that's just a result of the way he acts or whatever. But
so he's 18. The actor is 18 at this point.
Okay, so it feels like an 18-year-old playing like a 13-year-old to me, or like a 15, like someone who's younger than he is.
Yep.
It's the same feeling I get when, you have a child actor who is saying dialogue clearly written by an older person who doesn't understand how kids talk.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels really like inauthentic. And I think that's my problem with what's his name? Sirach
Lofton, yeah.
Sirach Lofton. I don't think he's bad. I just think maybe he is. Maybe that's what it is for me, is that I don't think he's that good. So his acting comes off as something else.
He's supposed to be 17 at this point in the show. The character is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't hate him.
No, I agree with you. I'm surprised they actually are writing him as that old. He doesn't come across as that old to me. He seems like a young teenager who's just gigantic, basically. So I would agree with that. I would say that I don't really have a problem with Jake. I think that the smartest thing the writers did was that even though he's a main credited cast member. He is not in more than 25% of the episodes, probably.
Yeah. Could they possibly have just had Tony Todd play 18-year-old Jake? Because I'd be down for that.
With young man makeup. I think Jake had a lot of potential bad outcomes, and they mostly avoided them with him.
Yeah.
He is not my favorite character. I don't think he's really well defined. He is good in, situations that they put him in that are set up for him. I think he's fine at doing it, like the visitor and stuff like that. But otherwise, Jake is better in small doses. He's probably the least. If you were to say you get one more DS9 episode, which character do you want it to be? It wouldn't be about Jake Sisko, would be my answer.
Right.
That's pretty much my take on it. But I don't hate him.
It would be about Rom.
It would. I need to know more about his engineering prowess. Last comment, Kyle Barrett. Shattered Mirror. Visiting the mirror universe should never be routine, but here that's just how it feels. There's no danger to the crossing. They simply prepare for it like a regular boarding party, and we don't even see how Sisko and Jake return at the end. It's all starting to feel too easy and too safe. I have issues with the final scene, too. The last Mirror Universe episode was about Sisko and his relationship with Jennifer, and so this one should be about Jake and his mother. But Sisko barges into the scene, and Jennifer's last moment with him was with him instead of Jake, upending the emotional core of the episode between mother and son. My biggest problem, however, is with Mir Bashir's hair. The once flowing locks of unending beauty and tasteful thickness are now scruffy and matted. It's a goddamn travesty. Overall, there's some good action, and it's been a while since we've seen Garrick, so I enjoyed his scenes, but it's the weakest episode in a long time. We sort of touched on the Jake getting his story cut out from under him by Sisko, Ben Sisko and Jennifer sort of rekindle their romance, at least on some level, later on in the episode, and it takes it away from Jake. But it's the relationship here between son and mother is no visitor. And so it's always going to suffer against that. And I don't even know if they've really pulled off an average job of Jake interacting with his mother. I don't feel they really nailed it. If they were trying to, or if they were indifferent to it, whatever, who cares? But if they were trying to say something about it, I don't really think they did.
And they didn't really get enough time either.
No.
All of the interactions they have once they get to the mirror universe are very like end of scene, beginning of scene type interactions. Like the dinner sequence where, they talk for about 30 seconds and then Sisko shows up. Mm-hmm. And then, it's like that's all they get. They don't really get a lot of time to spend together and get into the meat of what they're doing here.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of it's more of Jennifer explaining her feelings to Ben Sisko, than it is about Jake. Like, she never really has a heart-to-heart with Jake. She explains to Ben Sisko, she's like, well, I'm starting to feel like a mother now, and maybe we could be a family over here in this horrible parallel universe that we live in. That's about it. Those are all.
I also like the part when Bashir shows up for the first time and Smiley calls him Captain, and Sisko's like, Captain, and he's like, I'm a captain, you're a captain, he's a captain. We got plenty of captains around here.
We don't have enough men. We got plenty of titles though. Yep. And a lot of people slapping each other. Sisko gets slapped a whole bunch by all the Mirror Universe people in this episode. That's about it. Patrons, thank you very much for writing in with your thoughts about this Mirror Universe episode, Shattered Mirror. Clay, what are you going to give this on our scale of 1 to 5?
I'll give it a 3. I still think this is I don't think it's bad. I think it's a very average episode. It's definitely watchable. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly, egregiously poorly written or anything. So I'd give it a 3.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 2, I think. I seem to generally like the Mirror Universe episodes less than this the sort of standard of you and the audience, I guess. So everyone seems to think that they're okay with the Mirror Universe. I find them a little bit frustrating and lacking. The writing is okay. I would have liked more of the Lofton or Jake Sisko stuff to shine through. I would have liked a little bit more of a point to what goes on here, but not egregious. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's another, we've said it before, but if this is the quality of a lesser episode, it's fine. The series is going in the right direction. I think that this is definitely one of the weaker episodes of the season so far for me. So that's about it. Shattered Mirror. I'm going to give it a 2. Clay will give it a 3. We disagree, Clay. That's our first disagreement in a while, actually, I think.
Well, this is a mirror universe episode.
That's true. One of us has the funhouse mirror where the fat bottom and then the skinny top. That's a weird way to describe that, but that's what it is. Let's see here. I think that's it. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. If you want to check out more of the social media links, there's Facebook, Twitter, Discord. You go to Discord to talk. That's a good place to go. You go to patreon.com/the Pensky File if you want to support the show. A couple $2 a month, you get extra stuff. We just did our Night of the Living Dead was the last podcast we did. This month, we're going to be doing a Western. It looks like it's either going to be Tombstone or Unforgiven. It's a very close call, and the poll closes tonight, so we'll know tomorrow. And you can check that out. I'm also starting to put up a little bit more on the Patreon. There's some behind-the-scenes stuff, how I edit these shows, things like that. I'm doing a little like sort of one-off review type stuff just for the patrons. So that's what you guys get. Anyway, that's about it. Clay, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Poser 3 out now.
There you go. Now we're on the right timeline here. We were unsure of it last time, but now it is out. You guys can get it at your friendly neighborhood comic store. Friendly local, what do they call it? Friendly local comic book store?
Yeah, local comic store.
There you go. The board games have the same thing. They call them friendly local board game or something like that. Whatever. There's an acronym. Check them out wherever comics are sold. I think that's pretty much it. We had, that's pretty much it. Midterms are over. Politics have now ended. We can now focus on Star Trek going forward. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Much appreciated. And as always, Clay, kill a little bit of time. Say something, some non sequitur as I pull up the patron list to thank them.
The guy from the HBO show Cat House, who was running for some seat in Nevada and died like 2 weeks ago, apparently won his election in a landslide last night.
Yes. Dennis Hoff.
He's been dead for like 3 weeks.
We're going to have to go to the mirror universe.
And they apparently like put signs up saying this guy is dead and he still won.
It's weird there's no way that they take them off the ballot at that point. I don't know why. There must be some law about it or something. It's very strange.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty clear we take him off no matter what. Like what's the thought behind leaving him on there?
It's not the first time it's happened either, and it's not the first time a dead person has won the election, which really says a lot about your opponent, I guess, the quality of your opponent. Although,
just look at the Oscars after Heath Ledger.
I mean, how many people are in? I think he was running for a House seat, so how many people are in his region of the obviously it's the same if it's a House of Representatives, it's the same amount of people, but it's a very wide swath of the state, I guess, as opposed to out here where the population would be a little more condensed.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty localized election for him.
Let me look up what he actually ran for. I think his name was...
It's not exactly like we're going to have a weekend at Bernie's situation in Washington, I don't think. More so than we already do. Zing!
Let me see here.
Politics humor.
Nevada Assembly. Oh, never mind. So this is not... I thought he was running for a okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So that's a very small election right there. But he's dead. Cat House was a formative thing that we watched during college. He seems like real not a particularly great guy, but now he's dead. So
Cat House was the show that they put on like after Real Sex for all of the people who watched Real Sex and were really disappointed by it.
Who were like, I can't masturbate to this. This is not good. Give me some real hookers, and then I will be able to finish. And also, Lamar Odom passed out there. That was what the Cat House was famous for. That's right. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on there. All right, that's about it. Oh, and Clay did a good job of delaying. So now I'm going to say thank you to the captain level tier patrons: Stephen Cobb, Eric Johnson, Jay Stanley, David K, Nick Sergi, Nathan Elliott, Michael Pond, Matthew Cutler, Will Yates, Matt Flores, Samuel Custer, Santos Gonzalez, Robert Cummins, Andrew Chirlog, Spinobi, Russ Graham, Decker Sebastiani, Neil Brennan, Bradley Killens, Mike Burnett, Matthew Ross, Ben Douglas, Kyle Barrett, Joint Mango, Tarek Latif. Thank you very much, guys. You make the show possible. Anyway, we're about done. Thank you, Myra. Thank you very much, Clay. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are back with, there's another week episode after this one. Not to spoil anything. The Muse. We're back with The Muse, which is a Loaxana Troy episode coming up.
What?
Yep. Have you seen any of her episodes so far to this point?
I didn't. Has she? She's already been on the show.
She's been on 2 episodes so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So you missed both of them.
Cool.
But anyway, she's making a return. Guys, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.